You can be my bodyguard, I can be your long lost pal. I can call you ready, ready you can call me. Hello, Al. Gosh, this gunpowder stinks. I never thought I'd be brought back from the dead to fix your humanity. Yes. Oh, look at that. I've gone off camera. Oh. It's this modern technology. I'm just not used to it. I was once known, hello, as Albert Einstein, who thought up all sorts of policies. Gosh, this being alive is trying. Why have I got a stethoscope? Did I ever learn? I always wanted one, even though I was not a doctor. I was a physician. No, I wasn't a physician. I was a physicist. And I came up with a lot of theories. But none is equally as exciting as what the planet's going through now. Yeah. Oh, 740. That's not going to help. I'm talking about the theory of relatives. Yes, not the theory of relativity. That was my previous life. This is the theory of relatives. You know, there's a special relative, and in this time of Corona, you've got to live with them. And yes, I know it's hard. And some of you are not coping. And I understand that, you see. Because when I lived with my mother and I was a very young child, I made all sorts of problems for her. I ran away from home. I did not want to do my work because, quite frankly, it was boring. But then I came up with all these different mathematicians. And I realized that this is a place where I can pursue. So the pure mathematics was one of my happy places. The other happy place was music. Oh, how I loved the chamber music. And in joy, there was music. And music, there was joy. And it is an equal equation. I did thoughts in music. I did my daydreams in music. I was never good enough in piano, but I played the violin. And the people that know me, yes, back to the relatives. The general relatives. I had some general relatives, and I don't think you actually were aware, but I married the only physicist at the time, and we're talking the early 1900s, you know. She was the only female physicist in the room, and we would have these long, passionate talks about quantum physics and quantum theories, and it was fascinating, you know, and we fell in love. We had a child before we were married in 1902. But sadly, she went away and she didn't take the child with her. And now you know, there's not much detail on that child. But it died, and we're not sure if it was neglect or it was through the adoption process. Those series of the general relatives. And then we got married in 1903. We decided to do the right thing and get married. And we were having 2 children, and the first boy, God bless his heart, I don't know if it was because we had 2 brilliant brains mashed together, it just, oh, there goes my pen. It just could not cope. And that poor child ended up having schizophrenia. And he was admitted. And he died before I did. It was very sad. But I couldn't let it detract from my life's work. So I went to Italy, we were in Switzerland, and then eventually to escape the Hitler Nazism that was coming in, because I was Jewish and born in Germany, although I denounced the Jewish faith. Who can have a faith? When you have a brain as busy as this, how can you explain religion? But then, how can you explain music? I ended up going to America. But my wife knew that I didn't really love her, and it was hard. After 5 years of separation, I had to pay her out. And she accused me of wanting to love my cousin, my first cousin. And you know, she was actually right. And it was very sad. But it was a love like no other. She was my mother's sister's child. And we ended up having a very passionate love. She didn't have to change her name. She was Einstein, because not only was she my mother's sister's child, she was my mother's sister's child, my mother's sister who was married to my father's cousin. So she was an Einstein too. And we were married for some passionate years, but not much is actually just written about that. And I'm not going to tell you because that's private. That's a special relative. And we're not talking about relatives. I want to talk about you with the old quantum poet theory. Okay, you are sitting in quarantine, and what are you doing? Just what are you doing to make yourself a better place? Are you getting the concoctions? I've tried ammonia, and I've tried this, which I don't know what it is. I wasn't very good in chemistry, so I don't know why I'm sitting with all these things. But I thought, if there's somebody on the planet that can help you humans under this quarantine thing, it's a Nobel Peace Prize winner who understands a lot about relatives. So I ask you now to really, really look around your room. See it is somebody that's giving your heart with joy, like the joy with music, and make sure, just make sure, you leave the world a better place. You can't fix out there. This is what the quarantine is teaching us. I can't really come up with a cure. You have to go inside your heart. And even if it's like me and admitting that I loved my cousin, and then I actually had an affair with a Russian spy, but shh. The Americans didn't like me. At first they said all my theories were of Jewish science, but I was no longer of Jewish faith, so that fell on when they saw my brilliance. So you need to find your own brilliance, and whether it be music, and whether it be science, or whether it be loving somebody that you shouldn't be loving, find it. And make your world a better place, okay?